peace, maybe the whole world, like we had with COVID-19. That was a pandemic. Okay, when deadly epidemics will strike, when they will come, when they will hit. To strike is to hit. When they will hit. When they hit, we say they have hit. They have struck. They have hit. Hit, hitting, hit, hit. Strike, striking, struck, struck. They have hit. Don't say they have hitted. They have hit. They have strike. They have struck. Sorry. They have struck. S-T-U-R-U-C-K. They have struck from strike. They have struck. Deadly epidemics strike. Or forest cut. We don't know when the forest will be cut. Look, some of us animals live in the forest. Some of our neighbors live in the grasslands. So we don't know when the epidemics will strike, when we don't know when the bushfires and the drought will come, when the forests will be cut down, will be felled, will be depleted. Because why? Because man decides it all. Cry the wild animals. Oh, the wild animals cry in a lot of pain. They cry in a lot of pain. Okay, that's it. That's how it goes, and we're going to read through once. Let's go back to the first page and read quickly and read once. And after we have read the second time, we shall have understood this poem, which is simple. It's a simple one, and that is it. Animal cries. I live in great uncertainty, she moves. I don't know if I will eat, drink, or sleep in my crawl. Whether my calf will be allowed to suck or not, because it all depends on my master, cries the cow. Second stanza. I live in great uncertainty, she bleats. Bah! Not knowing whether my tail will be docked, wool sheared, whether my lamb will be offered for sacrifice or not. It all depends on my master, so cries the sheep. Bah! I live in great uncertainty, she brays. I don't know whether I will go where I'll go tomorrow, how many kilograms of load I'll carry, because my master dictates, cries the donkey. I told you braying is an ugly noise produced by a donkey, and normally it shows that that donkey is very much annoyed. We live in great uncertainty, they cry in unison. All the noises, you know. We don't know when bushfires or drought will come, when deadly epidemics will strike or forests cut, because man decides it all, cry the wild animals. Sorry, wild animals. We have nothing to do for you. You live in the wilderness, but we are happy that the game rangers are there to protect you. The game wardens are also there to help you. And the police are also there to help you out. So don't you worry. Maybe one of these days you have some freedom because you're fighting for your needs and freedom as animals. Questions. How many stanzas is the poem made of? How many stanzas is the poem made up of? Yes, Nakaliri? How many stanzas is the poem made up of? First of all, you know. Number? What is the number? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10? 4. Good. So form your answer. How many stanzas is the poem made up of? Nakaliri. The stanza, thank you. The stanza, sorry, the poem, okay? Not the stanza, come on. Nakaliri, you are misleading me. How many stanzas is the poem made up of? The poem is made up of I can never say I cannot enjoy reading a poem. I love poems. Made up of, you have said? How many stanzas have you said? 4, thank you. Spell 4. F-O-U-R. Thank you. Is made up of 4 what? Stanzas. Don't write verses when you have the word stanzas in the question. 4 stanzas. What follows, Nakaliri? A full stop. Thank you, dear. The poem is made up of 4 stanzas. Made up of, composed of. If the question is composed of how many verses is the poem composed of? You'll have to say the poem is composed of 4 stanzas. Don't say 4 stanzas is the poem made up of. That's totally wrong. That's wrong grammar. What is the poem about? Somebody tell us what the poem is about. Yes, Isa? The poem is about animal cries. You're right. The poem is about animal cries. Another one with another answer. What is the poem about? Yes, Sarah? Yes, the poem is about the problems of animals. You're right. You see, they cry because they have problems. So which one do you think is the better answer? The poem is about the problems of the animals, and the poem is about animal cries. Okay, the problem of animals. Thank you. That's what you have chosen. What is the poem about? The poem, not this. The poem is about, is concerned with, but don't write concerned with, it is about the problems of animals. We can add something. The problems faced by animals, okay? The problems faced, okay, the problems experienced by the animals. Faced by means experience, but let's use faced because it is easier. Always be sure of the spellings of the words you use. If you're not sure, experience, you try to think about the spelling, get an easier one. The poem is about the problems faced by animals. Remember, some animals here mentioned are domestic and others are wild animals. Like the last verse has shown us the wild animals crying in unison, crying together in unity. Okay, let's go to the next page and handle number 3. Let's go to number 3. Let's go to number 3. What is the title of this poem? The title of this poem. What is the title of this poem? It is easy and nice for you to begin with the title. Begin by writing the title. What is the title of this poem? Right. Animal Cries is the title of this poem, okay? Animal Cries is. Good. So write it in full capitals as it is. Animal. But if you find it not written with full capitals, don't mind. You write it as it is. Because some people write titles mixing capitals and small letters, no problem. But the best and the easiest way is to write it in full capital. But since it is in full capitals, let us write it as it is. Animal Cries. Then you go to the question and you select the words which we have to use. What is the title of this poem? Animal Cries is, small letters now, the title of this. The word is this, not the. So write what is here, of this poem. Full stop, and read through it. Animal Cries is the title of this poem. Good. Which animal is crying in the first verse? Which animal is crying in the first verse? I live in great uncertainty, she moves. Which animal is crying in the first verse? Make sure the sentence is short. The animal which is crying in the first verse is the pig. Just say the is the animal crying in the first verse. Okay? So, which one is that? The cow, thank you. The cow is crying. Just even don't even mention animal. The cow is crying in the first verse. In the first verse. You don't even have to write the word animal. The cow is crying in the first verse. We know that the cow is an animal in the first verse. Don't forget our beautiful, handsome full stop. Which animal is crying in the first verse? The cow is crying in the first verse. No problem about it. Number 5, state one problem that someone will say there's a mistake here. You have heard someone saying this is a mistake. Yes, Joanne? That. Okay, do you want to say I've repeated? I've not repeated. There's no mistake here. That. These two that's are not the same. They don't even sound the same. Let me listen as I read it to you. Listen as I read the whole sentence. State one problem that animal is crying about. Which animal? Number 4. Which animal is crying in the first verse? Then 5. State one problem that animal is crying about. I think you have proved. Yes, this first that is different. This first verse means which. So instead of that, you can say which. State the first one means which. State. Let's read which instead of that, the first that. State one problem which that animal is crying about. Okay, so you have seen there's no problem at all. That here means which, that animal. So the first verse has the animal crying about some challenges. So state one problem, one challenge that animal is crying about in the first verse. One problem. I live in great uncertainty, schmooze. I don't know if I will eat, drink, or sleep in my crawl, whether my calf will be allowed to suckle or not, because it all depends on my master, she cries the cow. Yes, which problem should we mention that is being cried about? Yes, Namasisi? Hey, thank you. The cow not being allowed to suckle. Okay, so state one problem that animal is crying about. Okay, the calf, just state the calf not being allowed to suckle, not being allowed, not being permitted, not being allowed to suckle. That is a problem. Of course, the cow will remain wishing to see her baby, the calf, and talk to her, talk to him, but the baby will be hidden somewhere or looking at her from the corner of her eye, from corner of his eye. And then the teats will be disturbing, will be painful. The udder of the cow will be painful, full of milk, until the herdsman comes and milks. Or they fix a milking machine, and then it sucks all the milk, and it is taken for people to drink. Dangerous. Why is the animal in the first verse crying for her young one? Why is the animal in the first verse crying for her young one? The animal, let me answer this one. The animal in the first verse the answer has already been mentioned in 5. In the first verse, why is crying for her young one. Why gives you because. Because, and the spelling for because has never changed since I was born. Because, let's see how the calf is mentioned. Whether my calf will be allowed to suckle or not. Because, the young one. Because it may not be allowed. May not be allowed to do what? Yes, Juma? May not be allowed to? The calf may not be allowed to do what? To eat, to suckle, to drink, to sleep? To suckle, of course. May not be allowed, may not be allowed. Let us use another word. May not be permitted. Permitted is TT. May not be allowed or permitted to do what? To suckle. So that was the mother's worry. The mother's worry. So why is the animal in the first verse crying for her young one? The animal in the first verse is crying for her young one because it may not be permitted to suckle. Mention one reason why the sheep is worried. One reason. I live in great uncertainty, she bleats. Bah! Not knowing whether my tail will be docked, wool sheared, whether my lamb will be offered for sacrifice or not. All depends on my master, so cries the